Today I'm going to make a recording showing you how to use the Numbers app to enter the data that you collected for your student surveys. And I can scan through my icons. I want to select the Numbers icon and I will double click on this. Now these are the files which it allows me to open, but I want to start a new file. So I'll click Done, and in the top left corner under File I will choose New. From here I want to choose the Charting Basics because we'll be creating the bar graph and the pie graph from the data that you collected from your surveys. So I've selected this, the Charting Basics, and it's highlighted. I need to come down here and click on Choose. And this is what comes when you click on it. The data is already entered for one to use as an example. To change the data, we'll need to click on the table. And here you'll notice I've highlighted that particular section. The first thing we'll do is change the title. This one says Fundraiser Results by Salesperson. We don't really want to be talking about the salespeople. This is where you'll enter the title of your survey. In our case, the one we did together was Year 5's, and I'll type that in now, Year 5 favourite pizza toppings. Now that's the title. I'll need to enter that for each of the headings, for the column chart and the pie chart as well. So rather than typing it all, I'm going to highlight the text and copy and paste, which is Control C for copy. And when I come down to these other charts, if I double click on their headings, I can delete the heading and Command V paste that heading in, and I don't need to type it all again. Command V. So I've got the headings for my data here. Now I need to come back up to the table. What we have here is the participants. We haven't, while you've interviewed the people in your class, the participants will be what the categories are that you're interviewing about. For the one we did as a class, this will be our pizza toppings. So these are the different toppings that we have. So we'll enter in our different choices here. Ham and pineapple, pepperoni, if I double click it highlights the text and allows me to delete it at once, cheese, meat lovers, and chicken. So these are the choices which we had, and in the units sold, we haven't really sold them, but what this column will show is the number of students who voted for that. So we'll call this column the number of students. Make sure you've spelt it correctly. Now in your graphs, this heading, the toppings heading, may be separate. This might be the number of children in a family. It could be the way you came to school. So whatever the topic was, but this column should be the same, the number of students who gave that response to the survey. Okay, so I've just entered in the data, the response from our survey. If you have more than, what have we got here, the 5 choices, You can use this icon to drag the table down and it will create more spaces for you to enter more data. Now what you'll see over here, make the screen bigger so that we can see it and drag it over. You can just move the different sections around if you click on them. In terms of the table, this icon up here will allow you to move it around. And on each of the graphs, a bit like a text box, when it's highlighted, you can move it around the page. Once the data is entered into the table, it automatically calculates the bar graph and also the pie chart here. Pretty cool. The problem though, you can see on our bar graph is the pizza choices actually overlap and they're a bit hard to see. So if we click on our bar graph here, it brings up our editing options. If we go across to axis and we choose the label angle, horizontal is straight across the page and they're overlapping, so we can change the way that the labels are put to vertical. And you can see here it's changed the numbers on the y-axis because we've got the y-axis here. We don't want those numbers vertical. We'll put them back to horizontal, which means going across the page. And we'll change it to the x-axis, which is the one across the bottom, which is telling us what our choices were. And instead of having horizontal, we will choose vertical. And you can go either left vertical or right vertical. I like it that way, it's just easier for me to read. And there we have our headings here. And you can see it automatically calculated the pie graph showing different colours for each of our choices. And it also gives the key over here, which is very important. When you make yours, you'll need to make sure your heading is completed on each of the different graphs and that you have your data names entered in as well. Enter it into the table and it will automatically create the other graphs. Don't forget, if you need any help, put your hand up and I can come and help you. You might like to replay the video and pause the video as you go through each step, entering in your own data. When you've finished, you go up to File and Save. And this is where you can choose where to save it. You'll need to save with your name. In my case, this will be Mrs. Carpenter. And I'm going to call it Mrs. Carpenter Survey. And that way when we come back to find these to print them, you'll just need to look for your name and survey, S-U-R-V-E-Y, and save these in the documents folder. So we press save, then we're ready to go.